Here's a pretty good video clip I got for you. I recorded off Morning Joe this morning. It's about Elizabeth Warren explaining how Hillary Clinton completely changed once she became senator. And it's quite good and it's intellectual. So I got it for you. And I also have political commentary before the clip is shown and after the clip. So enjoy.
Thing that so many people don't understand, Nicole, is she's getting $225,000 per speech for 45 minutes or so. They're not doing that because they like her or she's worth that much. They're doing that because they want, as George Stephanopoulos said, they want access. And also, the other thing that's so vexing, we've talked about this before, the Clintons are worth $100 million at this point.
Right.
When she's giving these speeches and getting paid $225,000 for a 45-minute speech from a financial institution, she knows when she's giving that speech and getting a $225,000 check from Goldman Sachs and a $225,000 check from Fidelity and a $225,000 check from Bank of America and a $225,000 check from all these Wall Street interests, that she's going to run for president. It's going to be an issue. For the life of me, I can't figure out why someone worth $100 million would do that.
Well, here's the problem. Everything that I know about how modern political warfare goes down, I learned from watching her husband's operation, that perception is reality, that, you don't make decisions that can be used as a bludgeon against you. So the fact that her judgment, these aren't old speeches. These were speeches she gave after she these were the things she did. These were the strategic decisions she made immediately before running for president. So that her judgment was so clouded, it either speaks to a complete obliviousness about the person she was going to run against, that it seemed to me it was always a risk that somebody with Elizabeth Warren's politics and record on Wall Street was going to bring a great challenge to her from the left. So the fact that she was so arrogant, she thought this wouldn't be a liability, speaks to a real question about her judgment, and she's reaping what she sowed now.
And Mika, the problem is with her argument also is that the banks and the moneyed interest actually did know how she acted when she was senator. And the fact is that she viewed herself as a senator from Wall Street. And as a clip with Elizabeth Warren shows that.
Well, she even said on Meet the Press that she's strong enough to sort of push back against anybody, even people who paid her. But the banking issue highlights what I guess some would call Hillary Clinton's Elizabeth Warren problem. Her speeches and connections to big banks leaves her open to criticism about special interests. And would she or would she not cave to them, as demonstrated by this story from Elizabeth Warren herself back in 2004.
She said, Professor Warren, we've got to stop that awful bill, referring to this bankruptcy bill that's sponsored by the credit card companies. So I left. She went back to Washington, and I heard later from someone who was a White House staffer that there were skid marks in the hallways when Mrs. Clinton got back as people reversed direction on that bankruptcy bill. And in her autobiography, Mrs. Clinton took credit for that veto, and she rightly should. She turned around a whole administration on the subject of bankruptcy. She got it.
And then?
One of the first bills that came up after she was Senator Clinton was the bankruptcy bill.
And?
She voted in favor of it.
Why?
As Senator Clinton, the pressures are very different. It's a well-financed industry. A lot of people don't realize that the industry that gave the most money to Washington over the past few years was not the oil industry, was not pharmaceuticals. It was consumer credit products. Those are the people the credit card companies have been giving money, and they have influence.
And Mrs. Clinton was one of them, a senator.
She has taken money from the groups, and more to the point, she worries about them as a constituency.
So, Willie, there are
Wow.
candidates in this race, it's incredible, who just don't have this problem, that this would never it would never happen.
Well, it's a problem of
One
her
of
own
them's her
making.
opponent.